Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I am going to talk a little bit about the concept of fear and insecurity. And yes, we're going to get into the tarot. I have my Lightseers tarot right here. We will use the tarot to maybe clarify or answer any lingering questions regarding the topic of fear. To me, I kind of see it in like three categories. And again, I just, excuse me, I just finished my my morning walk around with my weighted vest, and so I'm a little dry in the throat, but sorry about that if I cough a lot or whatever. Anyway, the three kind of categories of fear that I see are, socially speaking, we have like fear of rejection, sometimes fear of loneliness, or fear of being misunderstood. That's a big one. We are social creatures after all. So that's one of them. The other one, of course, is the actual physical security, finances, shelter, and things of that nature. And then the third one for a lot of people is fear of death. And all three have, and all three are very valid, but I feel all three can be addressed. And the one that I should say, really, it's the one that I'm dealing with most prominently right now is actually the social aspect: fear of rejection, fear of being alone, and fear of, well, that's really it, I guess. I don't know. I like to list things in threes, and sometimes I get like, what was the third? I already forgot. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that real quick. My background regarding that is an interesting one. You know, I've come to a lot of realizations over the last few months especially, but it's been a lifelong issue for me, and it kind of stems from a lot of things that came way back from my childhood, of not being good enough, you know, and falling into habits of people pleasing, and falling into habits of the tendency towards being the avoidant type of person in relationships. And if you're familiar at all with attachment theory, and you know what an avoidant is, you probably immediately are terrified of me, and that's okay. We can be the literal worst to date. Maybe not. Maybe a true narcissist is, probably. I've done that only once though, and it was horrible. That was my first girlfriend, actually. So that was one of the things that cemented in the avoidant behavior. I had my first high school girlfriend was a terribly abusive person. She really was. And I was so, I was just so soft back then. I mean, you can probably tell by my disposition in some of my videos with tarot and stuff how sensitive of a man I can be. I'm quite a softie. But now I'm a softie that doesn't tolerate that kind of behavior. So things are changing a lot. I've actually I feel like I'm finding my voice and finding my my frame, and kind of stepping out of that energy. But unfortunately, some lessons have to be learned the hard way. And you know, the last relationship I was in, I ended up being that person. I fell into the avoidant behavior because I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I deserved what was happening, and you know, it really got to me, and I wound up falling into a lot of mental health stuff, as I alluded to, I think, in the other video, the last one I made about just being back. So, you know, that's a hard lesson, and sometimes that's how life goes. We have to learn hard lessons, which I do think kind of ties into the topic of fear, because that's sort of like, some of us have to learn hard lessons, and when you learn a lesson the hard way, it sort of at the same time addresses the fear you may have, because the literal worst thing happened, right? It's like, well, okay, you know, the literal worst thing happened. I'm not dead, you know. I can learn, and also, what can you do with it, right? You can learn from it. You can take that situation and sort of practice the art of alchemy, you know, and actually learn something and make sure that you don't repeat the same lesson again. And I am absolutely dead set on not repeating that lesson. And I think, I actually believe I'm going to succeed at that, because I am not I'm not very scared of being alone, and that's a good thing. I feel like collectively, this is something that a lot of people are coming to terms with, unless culturally things change a lot. I foresee a lot of people staying single once they've hit a certain point in their life, that they may just be single, because unfortunately, well, I won't even say unfortunately, this is one of those issues that ties into manifestation and alchemy and how you see the world. But if you look at the culture and what's being said and what's, how things are being discussed, a lot of people have given up on dating, according to the internet culture, I guess, right? I don't know in reality, but there are a lot of people, once they get to a certain age, they just sort of throw their hands up and say it's not worth it. If it's worth it to you to keep trying, then by all means keep trying. And I'm not at the place where I'm giving up either, but what I do realize is that in order for a relationship to be successful, I have to be very, very mindful of those triggers that are coming up for me, so that I don't repeat the process. And the other side of that is the basically doing the work, doing the shadow work, the real shadow work. Probably a whole nother topic, but I do feel that in the spiritual community, the term shadow work has been hijacked. I mean, originally that was Carl Jung came up with the concept of the shadow, and it was a tool for psychology, and it's turned into something else. Not for everyone, of course, but for a lot of people, the ritual may have taken over the emphasis versus the actual just learning to be honest with yourself, facing the parts of you that have the capacity for the most evil, and learning how to integrate that into your life. You can't kill that. You can't be perfect. You can't be a totally good person. You have a side to you. You have a capacity to do things that maybe you don't think you do. And the quickest way to find out what you're capable of is to start making statements like, oh, I would never do that. Because the thing that you say you never would do, well, you might surprise yourself. And look what happens to the culture in mass, too, during a situation. The way people treated each other during the pandemic, once they started to politicize it heavily, people were nasty to each other. So our capacity for losing our empathy it's just right there. I mean, it can happen at any time. So anyway, doing the shadow work, the way that I'm addressing my issue, the feelings of unworthiness, is to go back and do the work. I'm regularly going through a mental exercise where I am consoling the younger version of me, the child. The child that had neglect, the child that had abuse, and the child that was teased relentlessly, and even the teenage me that just had the worst first relationship anybody could possibly hope for. It's taken a lot to, and I didn't really know for a long time, but I'm not very trusting. I'm not. But it's because I don't feel worthy. I'm skeptical if somebody's actually showing me love, and that's horrible. It's a horrible thing. I feel bad for the people who have shown me love. I'm trying not to feel guilt about it, because I don't want to spiral into a cycle of guilt and shame and stuff. But it's just really tragic, and I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. So, self-love all the way. I'm a pretty cool guy. Anyway, regarding the other side of the coin, I think, well, the other topics, I think fear of death is a big one. Maybe deserves its own video if you really want it. I think that some of us have it and some of us don't. In my case, because of being raised in a fundamentalist Christian household and being in leadership and all that stuff, when that fell away at age 30, it left a huge hole because I never processed the concept of death, really, because for me, there was always a place I'm going and it's great and, you know, whatever. So we just didn't take it very seriously, which is really unfortunate. That leaves a big blind spot. Should you, you know, for children who are raised in that environment, they have a lot to learn when that happens. So about the world. Anyway, we'll maybe let me know in the comments if you want a video on that topic. But anyway, don't scare me. I'm not worried about it. Third one, the security, physical security thing, it sort of ties into even the same energy as the death thing. I don't worry about it personally. I spent almost all of my life being very, very responsible. I was raised to be responsible, you know, fiscally responsible. I was taught to work hard. You know, I'm 40 years old, so I have boomer parents, and my dad taught me hard work. I actually was working in his shop when I think I started at 12 years old. Yes, that's legal. I have no issue with it. I actually think it was a great gift because I was able to earn money and learn how money works. So kudos to my dad for that one. I worked hard for a long time and just burnt myself out. And I'm learning to trust the universe, really, to provide avenues for me to stay secure. And as you can see, I'm in a van here, so I'm not too worried about my security because this thing, if most of your worldly possessions are in it, I mean, one accident or one theft and it's like, it's gone, right? But everything's temporal, and I've come to accept that. I mean, for that matter, if if there was a big hack or something, all your digital money, because your bank account's not full of cash. It's not like they just have all your money there. It could go away too. It could be hacked and withdrawn, whatever. I mean, there's no real security. Security is sort of an illusion. So it kind of ties into the death thing a little bit. It's just about embracing the energy of uncertainty and change, but recognizing also the fact that you have the ability to empower yourself in those situations. So I think that sums it up briefly. If any of those topics you want further discussion on, let me know in the comments, and we will do that. The first few videos here are going to be sort of centered around some of these things, practical matters, psychological matters, and just anything that I feel like is like super relevant to our current culture and energy within that, because I really want to help people overcome some of the fears and some of the blocks that they have that are blocking them from their manifestations, blocking them from their dreams and things like that. And I want people to succeed, I really do. So I'm just gonna ask for a few cards regarding the concept of fear and what we need to know. So anything that you feel are particularly fearful about, if there's a certain thing you just know, address it, now. That is your sort of question or what you'd like clarified. And I'm gonna let a couple more cards fly here, I think. How many is that? That's like 4. That's too many. All right. Come on now. Come on now. Don't be afraid. Please tell us. Tell us the truth. I want this one. I didn't see what it was. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we'll call that. That's good. 2 cards. All right. I don't know what's on the bottom either. We'll find out. Let's see what we can get. We have the 6 of Wands. That was the first card that came out. I mean, that is a card of victory after battle. Returning from battle victorious. So, like, after going through some hard stuff, the 5 of Wands is a card of conflict. They're sparring with the Wands. The 6 of Wands is basically the victory lap for the person who kind of won that, in a sense. You could look at it that way. In this 6 of Wands, you can see she's basically like on a lit stage. So she's being sort of praised for her success. And then the other card that came out was the Tower. And the reason why I thought that was cute is because, I mean, it kind of does address fears. It's a card of rapid changes, right? And the thing about rapid changes is usually, as humans, we have a tendency towards desiring stasis. Even if we want to change something, the change is scary. And it's like in this full moon in Virgo right now, it's important to let go. You have to let go of the old to receive the new, you know? So what are you letting go of? You know, because you have to make room for it. I mean, you can't receive from a closed hand. You have to have an open hand to receive. Something I used to say a lot. What's on the bottom here? Two of Wands. Okay, the underlying energy is the Two of Wands. Looking out the window there, she's got the little van, one of those old Volkswagens, which those are cool, but I'd never buy one because by now they're just piles of trash. It's just a money pit, but how cool would it be? I think it'd be pretty cool. Anyway, so we've got the Volkswagen there. She's looking out the window with the globe and the van, just kind of thinking, oh, I'd like to get out. I'd like to get out of my comfort zone and explore. I'd like to see something, right? In the traditional card, the person is sitting on the edge of the castle wall. So they're in a secure position and they're looking out at the horizon with the globe in their hand, you know. What opportunities do you have that what are you really longing for? Like, what do you want? The thing is, if you want something, let's talk about this tower for a second. If you want something, you have to clear space for it. You have to make room for that thing. And with the tower card, it's a leveling of a established thing. But the foundation is intact, and the foundation is really like part of your journey. That's kind of where you started. What was the spark that started the journey? Sometimes when we start expanding as people in various forms in our lives, whether it's relationships or financial or our aspirations towards something, the course can shift over time to something else. It sort of just drifts. Like everything naturally tends to drift. You know, there's no straight lines in nature. Everything's curving and doing different things. It's kind of like a divine intervention on the situation that is causing an energy of going back to square one. But the thing is, in so doing, you're going to wind up victorious, you know? So your story, maybe this tower's already happened for some of you. Maybe for some of you, I almost feel like you have this urge. You almost have an urge to knock it down yourself, maybe because you know it's not what you're truly about. It's not your true desire, but you feel obligated. Like, oh well, it's so big and complicated, and it's, you know, my income's tied to it, and I can't do X because of Y and Z. And I totally get it. I'm not at all saying that is a incorrect feeling by any stretch, but I know there's a part of you that wants to do it. And I do feel like Spirit is telling you, like, ultimately you're going to be okay. You know, in our lives, the very worst thing that could happen, of course, is ultimately is death, I suppose, if you consider that the worst thing. Again, probably a topic for another video. That's a big topic. But all you have really, the other thing about it is planning. Okay, the worst thing that could happen in that regard, if it was some kind of big career move, would be like you failed completely all the way to the point that you were on the street. And obviously that happens to people. It's, you know, it's sad. But there are ways out. But there's also ways to prevent it. And part of this too, the van and the globe and looking out the window, I mean, she's basically in a secure place and thinking about changing it up. What about planning? What about some actual planning? If you sit down and apply some energy to the situation, I think that's a good thing to do anyway. If you're entertaining any kind of change, just to think about what you're doing a little bit, but recognize the fact that when you start to enact that plan, I mean, it's going to go fast. It could change very rapidly. And this, even if it's all positive, like a rapid change, this can be positive too. Of course, it doesn't have to be a negative idea. The changes could come so rapidly, it may scare you. But ultimately, I feel it could be victorious. And so, since I've tried to make this video a couple of times, I have to call out the fact that I've seen frequently, in both times I read for it, I saw the Eight of Swords in this deck, which is that the perception of being stuck, you know, and also the Magician card. Both of those came out twice in the previous times I attempted this reading, and you know, they didn't go up because of my fear. I felt like I was rambling and mumbling too much and all that crap. So I'll take my own advice, and I'm just going to put this thing out on the internet. So that's what I have for you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video, and comment below if you want more topics like this. If you want me to shut up and just read tarot, go ahead and comment. I don't know that I'll take your advice, but just go ahead, like, please. Let me know. Those of you that are returning from before, just let me know what you think of this format. My communication is going to get better as time goes on. I haven't practiced this in a long time, so speaking to a camera and all that stuff. So bear with me. This will get smoother. And of course, like I mentioned before, once I'm out on the road officially, there's going to be some scenery and stuff. I will do readings and talks outside. All that good stuff. So it won't be so homogenous in this van. Anyway, but that's what I have for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.